About 20 years ago, Okami released, and about 20 hours ago, I finally finished playing the game all the way through. And I don't know why it always took me so long to play this game. I've always heard that it was one of the best games of all time. I've seen nothing bad about it in any capacity, and I just never really got around to playing it until this week and this past week and a half is when I've been really playing it. Now I did try to play it originally last August, and I think I got like about 8 hours into the game, and then I dropped it for some reason. I guess it just really wasn't doing it for me, and I wanted to play the game with like a mindset where I was looking to enjoy the game, not just playing it to play it. And so I dropped it until about once again a week and a half ago. I kind of wanted to give my take as someone who has now played what many people will say as one of the best games to ever be released. And like I think it was really clear to me, like I guess some things over why it kind of holds such a high regard in people's hearts. I think the first thing that I was really special to me was the art style. I think it has a really unique art style and just it looks pretty overall. And like the entire time I was just looking around, like thinking how good it looked. And also the music was really good. I really like the music. I have an issue in my brain where sometimes in a game I'm not really paying attention to the music. But there were multiple times, like especially in boss fights, where I was able to take the time and like listen to the music for a second and think about how much I really enjoyed it. And now before I kind of explain like the rest of it, obviously there's gonna be spoilers, but it's a 20-minute, it's a 20-year-old game. I feel like at this point I really shouldn't have to warn you, but I'm warning you anyway. I will keep it entirely honest. As I was playing the game, about like at the 10-hour mark, I was kind of not really enjoying the game. There are some issues that I have with it that I'm gonna cover first before once again wrap back around to the stuff I really enjoyed. One big issue is that like I could really kind of tell that the game was made 20 years ago. And I could also like tell that it was made. I looked up the rating; it was a teen game, and I really wasn't surprised. I was kind of surprised it wasn't a little bit lower, but I guess there's like some blood in it, so that it obviously ups a little bit. And the reason why is because just the sheer amount that the game babies you and like explains stuff to you over and over and over again is really annoying. It kind of ruins a lot of puzzles. Where like it literally highlights an orange text. It's the yellow paint of the game. Orange text, just like saying exactly what you need to do, or just like the most blatantly obvious hint of all time. And I feel like that kind of ruined a lot of like the experience for me because like there's some puzzles or like some things I had to do that I really didn't need to think about it anyway because the game just outright told me exactly what I needed to do, and so that was kind of disappointing. Another issue I had too was that there's like certain moments where the text would like go really slowly, and that's like a really nitpicky thing, but like it kind of just ruined the flow of like reading what was happening, and like I had to wait for such a long amount of time like for the text to appear, and that's like a really small thing. It just kind of was like it felt like a time waste. I felt like they were just wasting my time when that was all happening. And then another like small issue too, but like once again the game's old, so it's not too surprising. Is that a lot of the times when I try to use like the brush techniques, like they just wouldn't work on the first time in any way. I would literally use it and I would use it in the same exact way again, and it would work the second time. I don't know why it caused it. And I was playing the HD version of it too, so I would have assumed that they would have fixed it, and I don't know why it happened. Maybe I just didn't read well enough for the game to explain to me like specifically how I needed to angle the camera or some shit. But that was another thing that happened to me a lot. Was like I just had to do the same exact thing twice, and that was kind of annoying. I also did experience a lot of times like weird camera angles and like weird wonky shit. Where, like my camera would just get locked, in a single spot. So I'd have to like close out of the game to the title, like just leave the area and re-enter before my camera like, got fixed. And so that was like kind of another really annoying thing that happened. But like all these are just kind of small, nitpicky things that I experienced throughout my gameplay. Just specific things that like made my game experience like a little just slightly worse than it could have been. But the stuff I enjoyed. Once again, I said that I really like the art style. I really like the music, and I think another thing too is that like I kind of enjoyed reading all the dialogue with the characters. I guess for the most part, there were some like really. Actually, hold on. Before there's another thing I remember that I didn't like. The mechanic where you have to talk to people again to get more information when like they repeat half of the sentence that they said in the previous dialogue again, and then half of it, the rest of it's new, is kind of annoying. I feel like it would be a lot better if it was just like one cohesive streak of dialogue where I didn't have to re-enter and leave a conversation 50 times to understand what I was doing. But like it was whatever. It's not like it moved you further away from that person. It was just also another annoying thing. But back to like what I enjoyed, I think the characters are really fun. I kind of enjoyed all the dialogue, and nothing too terrible. No characters I really hated. I mean, it was more just annoyed. Like I didn't really like Waka at first, just because he was annoying and got in my way for progression. But at the end, I was, kind of hyped. I was kind of tight with Waka. I think he was a cool guy. Isun, he kind of was sexually harassing women the entire time, but that's just, I guess 2006 humor. Can't really get around that. But other than that, like I liked Isun as a character. Who else did I really like? I think Susanoo was kind of funny that he was just like a little shitter who just had to lie to try to get a girl the entire time. Like he was a bum until right at the end when we fought Orochi. I think like there's just no really character that I absolutely hated overall. Um, I think the bosses were cool designed. I really liked them all. It's not like it was the same thing over and over again. The only repeated boss fight was the Orochi one, and then obviously the one in the arc we did do all 5 of the boss fights. And I feel like all of them had like a mechanic that once you learn how to do it, you could kind of shit stomp them. Like I don't remember his name. The sword crocodile horse thingy majiggy that you had to fight. I learned that if you just face tank that guy, you just absolutely wallop him. So I thought it was interesting that all of them had the a little tactic you could use to make the boss fight easier that you could find out. I had a fun time figuring out what in the boss fights was like the little gimmick that you could do to make the boss fight the easiest of all time. I did go through the entire game without dying, so I don't really know the process in which dying affected your gameplay. Maybe if I did, my opinion would be worse or better. But like, I didn't die a single time. I'm not even saying that as a flex. I'm just saying it as like a part of my game experience was incomplete because that never happened. And one more thing too is I was kind of like just 50-50 on the story, whether I liked it or not, for like the majority of the game. I thought it was cool. Like, you save the city and you got to fight evil. Obviously, very classic, just fighting a bad guy. The bad guy's the bad guy for a reason. He's the only the bad guy. He's not like he's a twisted individual, set up sad backstory. The dude just sucks. First is Orochi, then it's Yami. And like, you just know that the evil people are evil just because they're evil. And that's honestly not even that bad. Like, one of the best characters in One Piece, the 1,000 characters that it is, or chapters that it is Doflamingo, who just is evil because he's evil. And that's like, it's fine. I don't really need a deep backstory. But I was 50-50 on the story whether or not I liked it until the final boss fight when Isun made everyone start praying to Amaterasu. I feel like that really like submitted like it for me that it was like a really beautiful game and like a beautiful moment. I was getting emotional when it was happening. I was like, oh my god, everyone who I met, everyone who I talked to, and I've made friends with are praying for me, and Isun like is also praying for me as like my what is it, celestial envoy. I thought it was really a cute ending. I really liked it how that ended, and that like kind of really completely changed my view on the game story when that one happened. Because I didn't expect it to kind of all wrap around like that, wrap all together. Because Easton obviously just like kind of was rejecting his idea of being a celestial envoy, but then him just kind of accepting it and also becoming like a good artist. Because I thought he was a fraud the entire time because I mentioned him stealing his grandpa's painting. So I thought he was a fucking bum the entire time when it came to painting. I didn't know he could actually paint. So then when he pulled that shit off, I was kind of surprised and I was really happy that it happened. And usually when I like play games, I let them sit for a little bit to see like where they are in my rating of games. So I really can't tell you if it's like if my top games of all time right now because I finished it last night. I usually gotta like feel the hole that the game left when I don't play it anymore to really understand if like the game or not. But I will just say it is really good. I can see why people think it's one of the best games of all time, especially like if we look at the time it came out and the capacity of the stuff that it had. Don't know how the hell they did the coding for the brush techniques. That's kind of fun. That was kind of a unique mechanic that I don't think I've ever seen. So good for them for innovating that back in 2006. I think I'm completely going off of sheer memory of it coming out 2006. I could be entirely wrong. Game's really good. If you haven't played it, I would recommend you playing it. It if you get past the parts that are like slightly annoying, it becomes a spectacular game that is really good and will make you feel like you had a good time. But that's about it. That's all I got to say. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.